Hey, hey, welcome to Mamas and Mimosas. I'm Janelle.
I'm Roni.
And I'm Marianne.
And today we're talking about mother-in-laws. No, we're
Dun
not
dun
here to
dun.
yeah. No, we're not going to talk mess about our mother-in-laws. It's more like we're sharing what we think makes a good mother-in-law, how we approach disagreements with our in-laws, and the kind of mother-in-law we hope to be one day. So grab your mimosas, pop in your headphones, and let's dive into episode 23.
Oh my god, it's gonna get deep, guys.
A shit show, a pure shit show. It literally takes a village.
I don't know if it was dirty or clean.
Oh my god.
Bad mom. Like
yeah.
the movie. Yes.
Because I'm shining.
Woo! That was good, guys.
Remember, we have a little after party in our private Facebook group to discuss the episode with other awesome down-to-earth mamas just like you. Make sure to tune in after the show by clicking the link below or visit mamasmimosas.com. So, what notions did you have of in-laws before you had one? Who wants
Janelle?
to go first? I'm like, who wants to
Janelle, take this one.
Okay, so I feel like it's very common. You see the movies, Monster-in-Law and stuff like that. You are afraid to meet your significant other's mom, the guy that you're dating. So, I mean, but you know what? Growing up, like my mom and my grandmother weren't really close because they had like a language barrier. She spoke Spanish. My mom only spoke English. So I grew up with seeing that they weren't that close. And then they also had some kind of issues sometimes. So I don't know. I feel like I was afraid. I was afraid to meet my boyfriend's mom, which turned out to be my husband. But yeah. What about you guys?
Same for me. Like you hear all those stories and you're like, oh no. But honestly, I think I was a little more like I was kind of scared because not only like with this was I was serious with my boyfriend at the time was now my husband, but the race issue too. I was very fearful because you never know. Like even though the world we live in, like it's somewhat accepted, there's still people out there who don't accept it. But I was a little worried about how they were going to accept me or if they were going to accept me. So I was, to be honest, I was a little worried.
So elaborate on that for the new listeners.
Do you want
difference.
to say what your husband is, or
Oh.
does it matter?
Like, so well, since I brought up the issue, so my husband, he identifies as he white and Italian. So
oh, really?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like a little inch that he takes a mile for. Yeah. So definitely was fearful for
So
if I was going to be accepted.
was he the first white guy that you introduced your mom to?
Absolutely not.
Oh, he's not
No.
the first white guy that you dated?
No way.
I'll get her in trouble now.
No, he's not. He didn't
Oh.
break my
He didn't
white
pop
boy
your
cherry.
white boy cherry.
Well, wait, yeah, he did, but he was the first white boy I dated.
In a different way.
Oh, man.
But also, you're not the first Black girl that he's dated either, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's good.
Oh,
But did you know
interesting.
that? Did you know that, or
Yeah,
like,
I did.
before you met the parents, and you still
Uh-huh.
kind of were worried about the race thing?
Because I feel like the level that we were on, because we were getting like really, really serious, and I feel like the girls that he was with before or dated or messed around with, didn't get to that point, like where it was really like, okay, this is serious, this is my parents type of deal. So that's why I was a little more fearful. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Marianne?
Same. Like I watched those movies, like Monster-in-Law, but also like I didn't think too much about it really, because growing up, my mom and my dad's mom, my grandma, were like super close. So I never thought like it could be bad.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And that's funny because like my brother, he's older than me, and he had a serious girlfriend. And I feel like my mom, well, when my brothers would bring girls over, like even friends, like she was so nice to everybody, you know?
Yeah.
So I just hope so bad, like, okay, I hope that when I get a boyfriend, like their mom is just like my mom, and then they're
Mhm.
just nice to everybody, you know, and they
Mhm.
feed them, because my mom would always like serve everybody food, and she was just so like open and talkative to everybody.
Yeah.
So I just really wanted that.
And like having boyfriends, like growing up, I mean, I wasn't like a hoe, but like all of my boyfriends both like me. So I'm like, oh, I
They
don't think
did.
I'll have an issue.
I got the
Yeah.
girl next door thing going on.
How do you not love this face?
So then how were you welcomed into the family? Like when you finally met her, was she nice to you, or like your initial meeting?
Me?
Go ahead,
Or
Marie.
yeah, she was super, super sweet. Nice too. And the funny thing about it is I was I was fearful to meet, both of his parents, but I was more fearful to meet his dad than his mom. Because I remember when we were dating, we were in the car, we were going on like a date, and there used to be like this Asian rapper like a long time ago. His name was like Jin or something like that, and he was like really popular. And my husband like liked his music, so he would listen to him. And it was a song playing, and he was talking about him. The Asian rapper was talking about him being in love with a black girl and the dad not accepting it. And I was listening to the song, and then my boyfriend at the time goes, "Oh, I can." He was like, "I can kind of relate to that," and like my heart dropped, and I'm like, "What do you mean you can relate to that?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Your dad doesn't approve of that?" And he was like, "Well, I'm sure he would accept whoever I'm with, but I think, of course, like he just naturally wants me to be with someone, within my race."
Oh, wow.
And I was kind of and at that point on, it was just like in my mind, I was like, I don't want to meet him. I'm scared. I already know he's pretty much telling me, like, without
Why would
telling
he
me,
tell you
he's
that?
so
Yeah.
open. Oh, he's
Yeah.
he's so
He's not gonna
open. Like
sugarcoat
he doesn't
nothing.
sugarcoat anything at all. So yeah. But when I did meet them, I think I met his mom first. I hadn't met his dad yet, but his mom was super sweet, like open arms, just accepted me. Never said anything to me like, bad or anything. And then I think like a few dates later or something, I met his dad, and he was nice, but he was a lot more quieter than the mom. But yeah, so
Did he eventually open up and like
we'll get into that.
oh,
No, yeah, he eventually opened up.
yeah. Oh my
Yeah, he
goodness.
eventually opened up. I feel like he opened up. Honestly, if we're being honest, like I feel like more and more as time went on, he was always like sweetheart, but I feel like when he really like was like, okay, she's not going anywhere, she's around, and really like came around was like after we started having kids, like after we had our first son, then I just felt like a total difference. Like
Hmm.
I don't know why, but I just felt like, okay, like I feel different. I feel like this is
Rooted
this is
in.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What about you, Marianne? When you first met?
When I first met his parents, I mean, his mom was super, super nice, and his dad was super nice. And when I started going around their family, it's kind of weird. They have like a different situation because his dad had just gotten out of the hospital
Oh,
from his
really?
accident. Yeah. So when I met him, all that was like going down. Like he was staying at the
oh wow.
hospital overnight. And so they kind of had their own
Issues.
issues that were bigger than just a girl coming over.
Yeah.
But they were super nice. And then I remember it was more so his sisters that I was kind of scared of because they are older.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, I just, because of me and my brother, like I'm always very judgmental of the girls he dates. So I'm like, I have to meet your sisters. And I remember one of them coming over because they both live in Vegas. So one had came. I want to say it's the first night I went over there to like meet his family. His sister happened to come into town, and I was sitting on the couch like super quiet. And he left the room with me and her on the couch, so it was like really awkward. But I mean, they were very welcoming.
Wait, Marianne, that's not the same night that bathroom incident happened, is
No,
it?
that was
Oh.
in Vegas. That bathroom.
From
They
episode.
already loved me after that.
Oh, okay, you're already in by that time. Okay.
Oh my god, the bathroom story they're talking about is that from the first episode? We have to link it below so that they can hear that.
Yeah, that
I
was
clogged
episode
one of
one.
the sisters' toilets.
Oh my god. Okay, so when I met my husband's mom, we were only 17, you know, and she was super sweet. Like I saw a picture of her and it was like a glamour shot picture before I met her. So I thought, oh my God, like, I don't know, like
a diva.
Like she looked so, and she was very serious in the picture, you know? So I thought, oh my
she's really
gosh,
pretty.
she's going to be mean. I don't know. I just thought she was going to be mean. In her picture, she had like the feather boas and she was just like, you know, kind of like, I don't know.
Mess with my son, bitch.
So I was so afraid to meet her, but when I met her, she was just so like bubbly and like hugged me, and I was just like, "Oh my God, you're so nice!" And she was so sweet, like right off the bat. But it's crazy because like you meet these girls that your son's gonna date, or you know, at such young ages, and you don't think like this is the girl you're gonna be, you know, married to, and she's going to join your family, you know? So I don't know. I feel like
she didn't take you seriously.
No, I mean, you know, she was always, it was funny because she actually told me one time, she's like, when I first met you, I was afraid that you were like, this is the girl that's going to break my son's heart. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to break his heart. And she was like, I was really worried. Yeah. I mean, and then she didn't know me too. So you're just like, and I get it now that I'm a mom and I have sons, like, oh my God, every time they talk about a crush, I'm like, like, don't look at him, you know? Like you get really protective. So I get that, you know? But yeah, initially she was super, super sweet. I mean, she's still sweet.
Initially, where's this interview going? You said we weren't gonna do.
I mean, right when I met her from the jump, she was super sweet. So, have you guys? Okay, so going into that, have you guys ever had any like differences, like parenting differences that you guys had to like confront or handle with your in-laws? I know this is not like this kind of episode, but we're just gonna like kind of touch on it because I know we've had some questions from our listeners about that.
Marianne?
I'll go first. Mine's not really hard. Well, because my mother-in-law passed away. I want to say the following year, not too long after I had met them. And so I haven't, like, she wasn't there when the kids, like, I don't think my husband, my boyfriend at that time, we weren't even boyfriend and girlfriend yet, but like I went through it all with him. And like I remember because she had cancer and she passed away like as soon as she found out she had cancer. Oh my God, I'm getting teary-eyed. I didn't think I would. How weird. Okay, so when she found out she had cancer, like it just went downhill super fast. So I remember there were days where I had to, like I was already my husband lived with them, with his parents, because his dad had a bad accident and he's basically paraplegic, and him and his mom were taking care of his dad. So I would spend the night there, like hooking up with my dude. But yeah, I remember she started going downhill fast. And so there were times when he'd have to leave for work and I'd stay there and help them. And I remember I had to like help her one time and it was so bad, like she couldn't go to the bathroom. And she kind of like, we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend officially yet. And she had told me like, like, I'm so glad that he has you when he found you. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll always remember that. Like, so
Oh.
she passed away. So, like, we hadn't had the kids yet. But, you know, like, after talking to my husband about it, I was like, how did she, like, raise you? Because he was raised basically, like, as a single child. Like, his sisters are way older. So they were already, like, married and stuff as he got older. He said it was always like his mom always spoiled him, and it was the dad that did the disciplining. So I think that would be like the only difference we would have is like, because I like both Adam and I equally discipline the kids, and or Landon, and like she was the type that left the disciplining to his dad. Like that's the only thing I could think of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I always have the sad stories. I'm sorry.
I know, Marianne.
That's
Janelle, you want to go
me.
next?
I thought it would be easy.
Marianne.
Okay, so
Oh.
parenting styles. I think that my husband was raised very differently from how I was raised. But I feel like his mom was raised very similar to how I was raised. Like his mom had a very strict father, you know, and they were a big family of 4 too. So like I feel like we can kind of relate on a lot of her childhood stories and stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, so, but the way that she raised her son, which is my husband, and the way that his dad raised them is completely different. So it's interesting now that we all have kids and like you see the differences, you know, and like, it's funny because I think that they think that we're a little bit hard on our kids because we kind of snap at them, you know. So, and sometimes that's like a, you know, I'm trying to say it in the nicest way possible.
I know it is.
I don't want to so, but I know, like, hi, they're probably listening. but there's been times where, like, you know, there's like a difference of opinions, and like my husband will tell her, like, no, this is what you know we're gonna do. And the same thing with my mom, though. Like my mom, she raises differently, and we're not doing it the same way. And there's times where I have to tell my mom, like, okay, mom, back off, you know. So that's something that me and my husband have kind of had conversations about early on. Like, I think it's best, and it's funny because I've read it in books later on in life, but like I think it's best if blood deals with blood. Like you, like if there's an issue and maybe there's something that you should tell your mom, like you tell your mom. And if you have an issue with my mom, like I'll tell my mom, because I know my mom best and you know your mom best, and you know what's going to hurt her feelings or what's going to trigger her, and vice versa. And so we've always done that. Like we've never thrown each other under the bus and like, well, Janelle's mad at you, so she's not going to come to this picnic, you know, or whatever. Like he'll take the blame, and I will too. Like if, like we kind of take the blame for each other, so that if they have some type of hard feeling, it's for the blood, not the in-law, because it's easier for them to forgive
Yeah.
the blood rather than forgiving an in-law, because they give them the benefit of the doubt and they know them already, you know. So it seems, I mean, we've been together for 17 years and I don't think she hates me, so it seems to work, you know. Like every time there's some type of disagreement, I'll never say, she's never disrespected me ever, thank God. Like she's never disrespected me, so I've never felt the need to have to defend myself, you know. So I don't know, I know people deal with those kind of people, like monster-in-laws, you know, that put them in those kind of situations, and I thank God that I don't have to deal with that. And who knows what I would do if that ever came a time. But if there's some type of disagreement that we have, me and my husband will talk about it later, or it, you know, and then he'll say something, or sometimes my husband will say something right then and there, and I'm like, okay, he's got it, you know. Like I don't know, I just don't feel like it's my place to argue with my mother-in-law. She's the queen, she's his queen, you know what I mean. Like at the end of the day, my mother-in-law is his mother, and hey, honestly, it's sad, but girlfriends come and go, wives come and go, but mama's gonna stay around forever, you know. And so I will always respect her. I will never, I hope to never put him in a situation where he has to choose.
Mm-hmm.
But like, our little agreement is
Your agreement.
me and his side agreement is, if there's an issue, like, I will talk to my mom, and you will talk to your mom,
But
so.
has he, I don't know if this is okay to ask, has he ever, like, where you guys had a difference and you talked to your husband about it and he kind of agreed more with his mom versus you? Like, have you ever had that?
Yeah, and yes, we have.
So what did you do?
So especially like in the beginning of our relationship, when I was pregnant with my first son, I mean, we had been together for 4 years already, but still we were only 21, and he had big dreams, and he was supposed to go to this academy and stuff. So I feel like I got pregnant and I ruined that all for him. And, and even though it'll never stay, but, as a woman, you feel that way. Like, it didn't go by the book, So I felt like maybe his mom didn't like me, even though she never said she didn't like me. But because we really weren't that close, or we didn't have brunch every month, or we, you know what I mean? Like, what I envisioned in my head, what a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law would do together, like, we weren't doing it. So I thought, she doesn't like me. She can't, maybe she doesn't like me. I got pregnant by her son, and she doesn't like me. I don't know. But, and so I would tell him, and he was like, my mom loves you. Like, and he would constantly tell me, and I'm like, you don't know she doesn't like me.
You're just saying that, I'd shut up.
Yeah, and so, like, and he wouldn't go to her and say, Mom, you like Janelle. Like, he knew his mom, and he would tell me, and he would put me in my place, and we would have this conversation, but it was like, okay, I'm not gonna tell his mom, I think you don't like me. Like, she's not my equal. Like, she's not, you know what I mean? Like, some girl on the street, I'm like, you don't like me? What's that? Like,
Right.
you don't like me, So, like, I don't know. I just feel like, yeah. So there's been times where he's like, you're wrong. And that's where it ends. Or, yeah.
Well, that was good, Janelle. You summed it up. Next question.
No, Roni, tell me.
That's it for our show. So what was the question again?
Have you guys had parenting differences?
And how do you handle
And
them?
how do you handle them?
Parenting differences. You know what? Like, I'm sure, I'm 100% sure there probably has been a lot of them. But I think I'll give her props, because she does a pretty good job of, like, not, like, coming to me or my husband about, like, if she thinks something's out of line that we're doing or something, she doesn't, like, bring it to us, or, like, blatantly say it. For the most part, I know that she has touched on before, and I think I mentioned this too, like, my husband's, like, kind of like, remind you of, like, a military husband, like a drill sergeant with the boys, and, like, he's on it. And I know in the beginning she used to think that he was way too hard on them, and she would struggle with that with him. Like, they would go back and forth about her thinking that he was too hard on the boys and stuff like that. And he would just kind of pretty much, like, these are my kids, and I'm gonna do what I want with them. And so she kind of, like, even if she doesn't like it, she just takes it. Like, and sometimes if we're somewhere and I, like, if the kids do something or they get in trouble, I can almost see her, like, clenching or want to say something, or she'll wait till we go somewhere and then try to, like, get the kids and, like, baby them and stuff. But she does a good job on, like, not calling us out or coming at us, like, why are you doing this? So I'll give her that. So as far as, like, openly, like, having disagreements about the way we run the show over here, no.
So if you have a disagreement with her, okay, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I'm saying now, what she tells her golf group and stuff, I don't know. But to us, it hasn't been said. But, and as far as disagreements, like, I know we have little, like, simple things, like, about a Christmas card, or, like, what shirt we should wear. Like, little stuff. And I think that we've been around each other so much that I can tell, like, if she doesn't like something. I could totally tell when she doesn't like something, but we just like, I don't know, I don't even think we've ever had like a full out disagreement or falling out. We just kind of like, I'll know that she's not feeling it or something, and we'll get off the phone and maybe we won't talk for a few days, but then we'll just let it go and come back to normal. But yeah, no. I don't know if she's like, because my husband he'll say something. So I don't know if that's why we don't really, have those disagreements.
But I think that's important for the husband to speak up. You know what I mean? Because like
He will speak
there's
up.
like if your husband is never going to have your back and not
Be
necessarily
on the same
have your
page.
back, but be on the same page with you. You guys are a team. Like yes, mom's the queen bee, but you guys are also like a team. And you
Mhm.
guys have to like not throw each other
Parent
under
your
the bus,
kids.
and parent your kids together.
Mhm.
I think that's super important,
I agree.
What about you, Marianne?
She went
What
first.
about your father-in-law, like, or even your mom? Did she ever have any issues with like Adam or anything?
No. If anything, she would have like issues with me. But I think it's because like as you become a grandparent or a grandma, like the
roles
way you
change.
view your grandkids,
Yep.
like the rules change. So everything's like candy and roses kind of
Yep.
thing in their eyes. And so like
Absolutely.
I remember like with my mom, like snapping at Landon once, or I was snapping at Landon, and she was like, "Okay, stop!" Like, and I'm like, "No, it's not okay."
Yeah.
Those
But
grandkids get them.
yeah, so I don't know. We haven't. I mean, it's hard, like with my father-in-law because it's not like because he's paraplegic, so it's hard. He doesn't say much. I mean, he won't say anything about our parenting styles. Like, I'm sure he thinks things, but he's never really said anything openly. So I would never know.
It's funny because there's been times where my mom will like boss my husband around, like if he's her son, like, oh, can you go take out the trash, or oh, can you do this, or and I'm like, okay, you've asked him for enough favors, like he's not your child, you need to back off.
That's my job.
Okay, so what kind of mother-in-law do you guys hope to be one day?
I'm gonna be monster-in-law.
Are you?
I am.
Oh my god.
But I think this sounds so
So
bad.
they're gonna keep their grandkids from you. Okay, whatever.
No, they're not. No, they're not. No, I mean, I can only hope to be like a good mother-in-law. Like if I'm being honest, I want to be a good mother-in-law. It just depends. Like, and with some of my, like, I see totally different girls for my boys. So I feel like for one of those daughter-in-laws, I'm gonna be that mother-in-law. And maybe for the other one, I won't. That's so sad. But it's just because the different personalities of my children that I feel like
that's
one
true.
is gonna get the girl that's gonna try it, and I'm gonna have to let her know. And then the other one will get the sweet girl, and I won't need to let her know.
So
So
which one are you? Are you the girl or the sweet girl? Because you're married to a guy who has a brother. There's two boys. Are you
oh,
the
that's
sweet
right.
one? Or are you the
I'm a sweet
are
girl,
you the
huh?
monster? You're like, wait a minute.
I'm in the middle.
I'm not going to
No, I
answer
think
that
I'm the
question.
sweet. I think I'm the sweet.
You're the sweet.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but I think that I think I'm gonna be a little bit of both, that's probably not good because, like for me, like Janelle mentioned, my husband has a brother and he's also married, and when we're somewhere and like both daughter-in-laws are with like our in-laws, like I'm not like watching, but I feel like she is very different with both of us, but that's because our personalities are night and day. We're totally different. So I feel like you have to like almost be, she can't be like she is with me to her because it doesn't fit her personality.
But do you also feel like you've been around so much longer? Like what, 3 times the amount that she's been around? Like, right?
True.
So do you think like you're so deeply rooted that she feels more comfortable to kind of show her true,
Colors.
like not sugarcoat anything with you kind of thing? Because I've seen that too. Like, okay, so my husband, we've been together for 17 years, and then my brother and
Your
his
new
wife have been
sister-in-law.
together for I think going on 6 years. So, or maybe I think they just hit 6 years. So like that's a whole 11-year difference of a lot of history, so I know that their relationships are very different, because one, you've been around forever, you've seen them grow up basically.
True.
And the other one, you're so it's newer kind of, I mean, it's not really newer because it's 6 years, but it's different.
Yeah, that could be. I never even thought about it that way. I just thought like because we're so different and our personalities are like night and day. But like I almost I tease my mother-in-law too about it sometimes because I'm like, oh, why you're all sweet and nice with her? And like I remember there's one time we went on a trip and like we were walking somewhere and then my mother-in-law was like, oh, that she told my sister-in-law, she goes, oh, that jacket looks so adorable on you or something. And then she goes, and Ronnie, what is that you have on? Looks like a car wash thing or something, she said. And I'm like, oh, so I'm just so I'm just the old raggedy daughter-in-law with the car wash jacket and she has the cute one on. So I
making her look bad, Roni.
Right. But I get that. But at the same time, maybe she felt comfortable enough to like tease you.
And then I felt comfortable enough to tell her that
to take it back.
She started cracking up and laughing.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I that is a good point. I didn't think about like the longevity and
longer.
It's kind of like a relationship. Like you see the new couple and you see the old couple, like the old couple, they talk shit to each other and they kid around and they're kind of rough around the edges with each other. And the new couple are like, oh my God, like, I can't believe he said that her butt was fat, or it's like, whatever, and you're like, just wait, girl, because that's going to come around. And then when you see it coming, you're like, see, like, or you're like, hey, you never call me sweetheart anymore. And he still calls her sweetheart, so like, you can see there's such a huge difference. And then eventually it evolves back. It always evolves. It's going to evolve into being comfortable and being your true self,
Exactly.
Take some time.
Do you think you're gonna be a monster-in-law,
Marianne?
Oh, me? I'm like, I don't know. I think I
Marianne's
will like
not gonna be a monster-in-law.
Purposely just to like F with her.
Marianne's gonna be so nice. She's not gonna be a monster-in-law.
It
Marianne's
depends
got
on
an edge.
if I have a daughter. So like if I never get like if we're done and I don't have a daughter, then I would treat them like my daughter. Like I would take them in kind of thing, So I kind of
but if you don't have a daughter, you're gonna be a bitch to them?
just to like F with them, yeah.
Dude, it seriously puts things into perspective though. When you only have boys and you think you're done, you're like, oh my God. And then you realize like, I hope my daughter-in-law lets me in that delivery room or makes me, like includes me because this shit feels so important and I'm never going to get that experience with a real daughter, so you hope that they include you and it sucks when they don't.
You will want the boys to like with their wives let you in the room for their first baby
if their wife likes me.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna be there.
No, I feel like
Look, I won't fight it.
For the guys with their wives, like they're gonna want like their mom in there or just their husband and
that's true.
It's funny because that's
the daughter.
That's how I was. My mother-in-law, she wanted to be in the room and I was so young and that was my first baby and I did not want her in the room because I was uncomfortable with my body and I'm like, I don't want her to see my vagina, like that's all I thought about it. And so I didn't want that. And then she ended up coming in the room anyway.
Mm-mm.
But at that point, honestly, every doctor was in the room, it felt like, and every nurse, and I didn't give a crap who was in the room.
Of course.
But and I remember it being kind of like a thing in my head before I gave birth, like, oh, I don't want you're like, I just want my mom and you know, and I just don't feel comfortable. But now that, like, then when I only had 2 boys and I didn't have my daughter and it didn't look like I was going to have a daughter, I was like, oh my God, like, I want to be in that
Be
room,
in there.
you know, and I get why your mom wanted to be in there so bad, even
Yep.
though she does
Mhm.
have a daughter of her own and she was in the room with her daughter and
That
everything.
was her first grandchild.
That was her child, yes. And I mean,
Mhm.
it means something, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
So I
Wow.
get it. But it also depends on how close you are to and how comfortable you feel, you know? I
Yeah.
don't I don't want to push it, and I have to be respectful, obviously,
Yeah.
if she doesn't want it. But I really hope that my kids want me there. And it's funny because I feel like a mama's boy gets a bad rap, right? Like we don't want to be with a mama's boy. We don't want to be with a guy who's always going to take his mom's side, right? But we want our kids to be mama's boys and take our side.
Yep. Yep.
So it's like it's a double standard.
It really is.
It's tricky. And I really believe in karma. Like I am a huge believer in karma. I feel like if you treat your mother-in-law like shit, your daughter-in-law is going to treat you like shit.
Oh
Or
yeah.
your son-in-law. Like that shit, you think it's over just because you're an adult and you're
No.
married. Like,
Goes
no,
around, comes
that's
around.
gonna, yes. So I honestly, I try to include my mother-in-law in everything that we have going on and stuff. And I know it's important to her too. So, but I I hope to be a good mother-in-law. Like I don't want to be too pushy. My mother-in-law is so flexible. Like so we had really strong traditions growing up. Like Christmas Day was at my grandma's house, and like there was just all these dates that were always every single year, and every year we just, you know, did them. But my mother-in-law, she was so flexible, like with her holidays. She was like, okay, you guys do Christmas Day, that's fine. We'll do the weekend before. Oh, you guys do Thanksgiving, that's fine. I'll see you guys the day before or the day after. Like always, never an issue with holidays. And I think that that's so awesome. And it's funny because even though our traditions in our family are super strong, and like I want to be flexible like her, like with my in-laws.
I'm laughing because I know you're type A.
And I'm a control freak, so I really want to be flexible.
He's not gonna be flexible.
If you're not flexible with your
She's gonna be like-
quarantine schedule, you're not gonna be
She's gonna be
flexible with
no.
Christmas.
She's gonna be like, Max, how come we have to do Christmas at your mom's house every year?
Honestly, I'm like, I love joining families. I don't know about you guys, but like I'm like, hey, your mom come, your mom come,
Yeah,
everybody's
we're
mom come,
good.
and let's just be together, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I just want everybody to be together. And people don't want to unite families and they want to do their own thing. And so I'm like, okay, be stingy with your family. Fine then. Fine then. We won't have a big party. Fine then. But no, my husband was just making fun of me because he's like, you think you're going to be flexible? You're going to be like, no, Jack, this is Christmas Day. You're not coming on Christmas, you know, and you're going to give him the guilt trip. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to be flexible. I mean, if I'm important to him, he will let his wife know.
Mm-mm.
And he was like, so the guilt trip begins. But honestly,
Oh.
I feel that way. I honestly feel like if you and your son or daughter have a strong relationship, and they will make you a priority, you know what I mean? Like if you
To
guys
some extent,
don't,
though, because then when you throw a wife on the equation and children, like you don't know if the wife is like, well, how come we always do this? Like, let's, so I don't think it's gonna
but
be
the wife was a
as easy.
girlfriend, and I think it all has to do with initially, like, okay, think about
See,
it.
look
Okay,
at her
don't
already.
make faces. Hold on, don't make faces. Listen. So okay, hey, I want you to meet my mom, right? I want you to meet
Mhm.
my mom. And then you meet your mom. And then you're like, hey, my mom likes it when we come over, whatever, you know, whatever. Like, you start that as you're dating so that the wife knows, hey, mom's important to him, so I know that I have to include his mom on birthday parties or whatever else. Like, I feel like it's up to the kid to make your family a priority, because if you're like, oh no, you're new and you're top of my list, I love you so much, and my family's down here like shit, they're gonna think they could treat your family like shit, you know, because you didn't make them a priority, you know. No, you don't agree?
Now, what happens if you're like, okay, guys, come over. We're gonna do Christmas here. This is when your kids are grown up, they're married and everything. And then one of your sons, his wife is like, no, let's just stay home. I don't feel like we just had a baby. Let's just stay home. You don't think your husband, your son's gonna be like, your son's gonna be like, Mom, we're just gonna stay home. You're gonna hang up in his face.
No, that's fine. Like shit, that kind of stuff, it happens. But if it's every fucking year on Christmas and homegirl wants to stay home, homegirl don't like your mom, and she's trying to make a statement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's up to
point,
you whether you
point.
still want to see mom or not. Like,
Oh,
I feel like it's up to you whether you want to continue the conversation.
Do you still want to be your mama? Because I'm on my way out.
But just remember, karma comes around. You have kids, your kids' girlfriends are going to treat you like shit. Your kids' boyfriends are going to treat you like shit.
Or you just you're going to want grandma to babysit. So
Yep.
you be careful which holidays you don't come to my house on. When you guys want to go on that baby moon, you're going to need grandma to watch the kids.
Oh my gosh.
And
It's scary.
like,
it's funny because
they can my mom can watch them.
Yeah, her mom, right? Or his or his mom. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because they're gonna have a mom too, huh?
They will. Okay, so you know that show The Goldbergs, the TV show? We'll have to link it so our listeners can.
I love that show.
But the mom is so funny because she's like into everybody's business, and I feel like that's how I am gonna be.
That's what Tyler calls me
when they're like teenagers and dating, you know? Like, I just can't stand back and just watch it unfold. Like, I think that'll be the hardest thing for me, is just to like
watch them get their hearts broken.
Yes.
They're not gonna listen though.
They're not gonna listen. No.
Because they're not gonna listen.
Has it happened yet?
I heard that some of Devin's little friends listen to this show, which they should not be listening to. I tell them, Allie, stop listening to this show. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, because you remember when we're that age, like I feel like you don't think your parents know what they're talking about. So it's kind of hard to get through to teenagers. Like, it's so hard to get through to them, because I think in their mind, they really don't think that you were once a teenager. And if you were, they think that there was nothing on earth but dirt in marble.
Dinosaurs.
Like, I think my son doesn't think that I was ever 14 before. And I just try to tell him, but I will say, out of both of my boys, I do think my oldest son can handle himself a little better than my little one will be able to.
Okay, so are you gonna be pushy? Like, say they have a new baby, right? Your son and your daughter-in-law have a new baby. Are you going to be the mother-in-law that comes and spends a week to help her, or like?
Yes.
Or are you gonna kind of wait till they ask you? Or
I would offer.
You would offer?
Be like, hey, I can come that following week if your mom's not there.
Now, what kind of help are you gonna help her with? You gonna help her hold the baby, or are you gonna help her cook and clean and do the laundry?
Do all of it. If they let me, if they let me. I'm not gonna impose. Like, I will, ask them if it's okay, and if she does, then I'll come. If not, I think I might be a little mad, but I'm gonna stay home.
Keep my ass at home. I think those are like important things. Like, what kind of mother-in-law are you gonna be? Are you gonna, like, when you meet them, are you gonna be nice and like conversational, or are you going to have an attitude and like the queen bee of the house?
But it depends on how that person approaches you too. Like,
Yeah,
what if
that's
you
true.
meet this person and they're like, or just instantly have attitude or rude, or then that all depends. Give
Oh,
you the
that's
energy you give me.
true.
If you come at me and you're nice and sweet and respectful, then I will give you the same respect. But if you come different, then I will meet you there. It
Oh, that's good. That's a good
all
one.
depends. All
And then
depends.
your son's gonna hate you. What about you, Marianne? It looks like you have something to say.
No, I'm just like laughing. I like the possibility.
It's scary out there. It's a
It
jungle
is.
out
I
there.
just think it's like funny to like F with them because I know how scary it is because I used to be
So
Because you're
you
like,
want to F
I'm
with
his
them.
everything now. Let me
I mean, I
let
would
me
like
intimidate
be
you.
super nice, but I would be like intimidating almost just because I know how scared they are
You're an
to
asshole.
show her the
You're an
potential if
asshole.
she F's with me.
You set the
If she
ground
comes
rules.
back around, then that means that's the one.
Oh my God. That is
And
too
then you have
funny.
to think about too, like everything, like culturally, what if it's different? Like, because right now it seems like my son is like really into, like, he likes Indian girls and Asian girls a lot. Like, this looks like his top two.
Asians.
This is like his
Represent.
his top two. So, like people have different cultures. Like, what if it's the same, like how scared I was? Like, you
Yeah.
just never know like what you're gonna run into. Oh, just thinking about it.
Interesting.
And my
And
son will
different
be
religion.
14 next Sunday. So just to think about, this is coming faster than I
I know,
expected.
girl. And different religions, because that was one of, I think, the first disagreements that we had was when I got pregnant and my mother-in-law wanted to baptize our son in the Catholic Church. And I mean, my husband, he doesn't go to church and I'm not Catholic or baptized. So I didn't feel strongly about it, like she did. So that was something that we had to like that was our first stance that we had to take against her, like, I mean, because she kind of really wanted it and she kind of like was real strong about it. And my husband like kind of took that stance and was like, we're not going to do it, I'm sorry, and it was funny because I was kind of like, she really wants it, like maybe we should, just because like I don't want it to start anything,
Mhm.
and he was like, no, we're not going to do it. So yeah, so you never know, different religions, cultures, traditions, all that stuff.
And I will ask this, I have a question. Like, would you say, I know Marianne, her situation is different, but with you, Janelle, like, would you overall say, like, as far as the mother-in-law on a grandparent level and like how she is with your kids and everything, like stand-up girl, like she's dependable and stuff, or should I
She's
not
a
answer?
stand-up. You're so funny. No, I love the way you worded it. Yes, no, honestly, she's an amazing grandmother. She, like, the kids love her. Like, honestly, I'm very, very lucky. Like, she offers to watch the kids for us. Both of our moms have them, for date nights. Like, so we're allowed to go on a date night, or we've been on trips. Like, that's kind of unheard of because, like, my grandmother never watched us for longer than a couple hours, and her both on my dad's side, she never watched us either. So my parents never went on any trips alone, or yeah, for their whole 25 years of marriage,
Oh my
which,
goodness.
yeah. So until
Wow.
we got older, and then they finally went to Cancun. That was their first trip together. So I think we're very, very lucky because they both will like watch them. They'll take time off of work to watch them. My mother-in-law seriously will give you the shirt off of her back. Like, that's the kind of person she is. And she's like super flexible. Nothing makes her mad. Like, or I mean, I've seen her get a little ticked, but like not really angry, like she like she'll have her opinions here and there, but she's very, very, very nonchalant and like go with the flow. She's
Isn't your
very
husband like that too? Very like calm and go like no, okay.
he is, but
Pre-quarantine.
A different episode.
he is, but he has a little
Pre-quarantine.
bit more of his dad where he's a little bit pessimistic, you know, like everything is like, like, you know, so it's like he will go with the flow, but it just depends who it is. Honestly,
Okay.
like if he likes you, he will do anything for you. He will be there for you. If he's not really a big fan of you, he's like, I don't want to go, you know, so
Mhm.
he's not going to just go just because he wants friends. And, you know, like he's
Yeah.
kind of particular about things like that. Because you know, some people who are like, I'll even if I like they don't like people. You know what I mean? Like they like
Mm.
everybody.
They
And
go with
like, no, my
yeah.
husband's not like that. No. Nope. Nope. No. There's people he doesn't like, and that's just it.
That's so funny.
Does that mean he likes me if he texts me Happy Mother's Day?
He's texting you? No, I'm just kidding. Yes, it means he likes you.
Yay!
Ronnie's like, he doesn't have my phone number. He didn't text me.
I didn't get a text.
he waves. I'll
He
give him
waves.
that.
Okay, so what about you then, Roni? The same thing. Like, do you think that your mother-in-law is a good grandmother? And
Oh,
like,
yeah. I cannot doubt her on that or take that away from her. She's from the very beginning. Like, she has done some things that I couldn't even do. Like, with when Devin got circumcised, I was a new mom. They used to do it different. They didn't do it at the hospital. You had to take them back like a week later.
mm,
And I was like, I cannot go in there with him. And she like went in there with him
That's
to
cool.
get that. And like, so she's just very involved, like very involved.
like
So
I,
she
I
was
mean,
supposed to
you
get,
even have said like she signs the kids up for golf lessons and then we'll take them or
yep,
swimming lessons
yes,
and stuff.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
whole different level. Like, you know.
And, but that's too because her and my husband have this thing where like, if it's on, like, so because she'll want them to do certain things and she'll be like, you should put the kids in this, you should put the kids in this, and he's like, we already have them in this, we don't have time, like if you want them in there, you pay and you take them,
Oh,
like that. And so she literally will do it, like,
Wow,
yeah,
that's
so she
awesome.
even goes that far doing stuff like that. So she's really, really involved. She's awesome in that department.
And
Very,
she'll
very much.
have them for like a week, right?
Oh
Like
yeah,
during the summer.
she took when I went. A friend of mine got married in Dominican Republic, and Harley was like 6 months, and I was in the wedding, and I left to go to Dominican Republic for like 4 days, and while I was there, I told my mother-in-law like if she could go. I asked her if she could take Harley to get her ears pierced. Remember this, Janelle?
Yes.
I asked her if she could take Harley to get her ears pierced, so she did, and I guess she posted on Facebook, and like everybody was blowing me up, like, "Did you know your mother-in-law took Harley to get her ears pierced?" I'm like, "Yes, I gave her the approval. It's okay." But yeah, she keeps them for long periods of time. She will like help like pick them up from school. She'll come away from Diamond Bar to pick them up from school just to like take them to eat after, or she does go above and beyond. So
And she's very
oh.
like protective of them. Like you don't worry about them with the pool and the stairs and stuff like that. You never had to really worry because I am so nervous. Like, oh my God, my mother-in-law has, well, now she has a pool, but before she had stairs and stuff. And I get so nervous of the baby going up and cracking your head open or something.
You know what's funny is like I don't get nervous when they're with her until I hear the stories like later on. Like there has been stories,
Oh my gosh.
yes, there has been stories that they've kept from me for years. Like just literally maybe like last year I just found out that when Devin was, let's see, 1 or 1.5, that he drowned in their back pool in the
Oh my
backyard. And I just found out a year ago because the dad accidentally, we were at like Mother's Day or something, and my father-in-law just started talking, and he goes, yeah, because remember that time when Devin drowned in the back and we thought like he was like, he's just talking. And then I look at my mother-in-law and she's like, oh my God, I never told her that.
What
So
did
I
your
go, oh,
husband
so
say?
I go, oh really, like keep going. And then he goes, oh, did we never tell her the story? And then she was like, no, we never told her. And I'm like, what? And then here's my sister-in-law over there looking like, oh, my baby's never going over there because she was scared
Oh.
too. But yes, apparently she was in the kitchen and Devin like went out the back and she thought he was playing with his toys. And then my father-in-law came downstairs and was like, where's Devin? And she's like, he's right there. And he ran out in the back and he was already in the pool.
Oh
So
my
yeah, I just
gosh.
found that other year. So I didn't worry. I didn't worry when they were with her. But I hear stories later. So yeah, yeah, but she's really good with them. Besides that, she's
Other than
really good.
them drowning my kid.
Yeah, other than her drowning them twice, once or twice.
Oh my goodness, that
Yeah,
is too
but
funny. That's good. So then, do you feel okay? So as far as like a mother-in-law like relationship, before we wrap this up, like, do you want the same relationship with your daughter-in-law that you have with your mother-in-law, or what would you do differently?
um, you know what? I wouldn't mind because actually, like, me and my mother-in-law do like things outside of like with my husband, or like me and her will go. We went to go a spa day and like went to Glen Ivy all day, and we'll go eat, we'll go shopping. Like we went to Vegas, me and her, and slept in the same hotel. Like it was because I was going to a friend's wedding, but we drove out there together and we were there by ourselves for 2 days before everybody came. So we actually do things together. So that part I definitely would want, my daughter-in-law to keep me involved and stuff.
Yeah.
I would probably want more. I probably want to be a little more involved. I think like we only keep her to a certain extent. Like we don't include her in everything. And that could just be me being selfish, but I want to be included in all of my children's business, everything.
Uh-huh.
Include me in everything. So,
That's
but I know
funny
I'm not gonna get that. But
because that's so nice that you guys have that, because I've always wanted or thought that that's how mother-in-laws, or like that relationship of going to lunch together by themselves and stuff like that. And we don't really do that. After all these years, we don't just do like one-on-one things. We've never really done that. And I don't so
why
I
You're
not?
wish
gonna
I
get
could.
an invite now.
I know.
Why not though? Like, have you just never
Because
had
I think
time,
she
or
had like her and her daughter do a lot of those like one-on-one dates. And it's funny because when in the beginning I used to kind of get my feelings hurt, like, oh, they didn't invite me, but now that I'm older and I see like sometimes me and my mom do things, without inviting my sister-in-law. So, and then I realized, oh, I hope she doesn't get her feelings hurt, because it's just natural. Like, she does stuff with her mom, so like you're going to do things with your mom and you're not always going to think about your in-laws, so
yeah.
now I get it. But before I would get my feelings hurt, like, maybe they don't like me because
Oh gosh,
because
no.
they go on trips together, like girl vacation or girl hotel or whatever.
Oh
And
my
then I'm
god.
like, hey, they didn't invite me, but honestly, it's just different people, right? Because like my mom's like me. Remember how I told you I just like to invite everybody and I want everybody to feel included? Like that's how my mom is. Like my mom's like, oh, invite your mom and invite your mom and like let's all just go to a girl all day, So I'm just used to that, So
Yeah.
when you don't get invited, you're like, oh,
What's up with that?
yeah. But no, it's fine. It's fine, because some of the things that we do get invited to, like we go and we have a nice time and that's what matters, right? But I do, like, for my daughter-in-law, I would like to do, lunches and shopping and things and girl trips that it's just girls, and even like one-on-one to build that relationship. What's the matter?
Now I have a question. Now, with these things, are you going to want your daughter-in-law to ask you to come to these things, or will you invite her?
Well, I will invite her,
Or
but
have
I
you
would
done that with
also,
your mother-in-law? Have you ever tried to go somewhere with
but
her,
I'm not
like
the
invite her?
mother-in-law. Oh,
No, but have
yes,
you
yes,
ever?
yes, yes. No, 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 no,
Have
no.
you ever?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
I have invited her. I haven't really invited her alone to things. Like, I'll invite her to girl things. Like, hey, me and my mom are gonna go get massages. Like things like that.
okay.
We don't do
Mhm.
it often, but if
Mhm.
we do invite everybody, like her and we even invite my sister-in-law too. Um, but yeah, so that's something that I would like to do
Like
more.
if you and Ray, when she's older, you guys go get like mani-pedis, you're gonna invite your daughter-in-law.
I would want to, but I get it now. Like you're not going to invite them to every single thing because you want your alone time with your own kids,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
I get it. I mean,
Mhm.
you're never going to be their biological kid, you know? So they're not going to treat you as such unless they don't have any other daughters, and that's, you know, that's how they treat you, is like their biological daughter. You're their only daughter that they've ever known, so maybe they treat you like that, you know? I don't know.
And that makes sense.
I'm like, I don't know. Am I putting my foot in my mouth? Oh my God. So I want to have like a weekly dinner, you know, and I hope that our kids will like continue it where we get together every week. And then I do want to be flexible with like holidays, because depending on my in-laws, if they have things, but hopefully, ideally, we could all do it together. Because I've seen families just join together and they do it, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I
I've
like
seen
that.
people do that. Like I feel like we almost do that because for Christmas, like everyone comes, like my family, Tyler's family, Karina's family, like it's, you know, all families come,
That's
which is
nice.
good. Hmm.
So Janelle's future daughter-in-law, this episode's for you.
We're gonna be the best of
Beware.
friends.
She already listed
I
what
know.
she wants you to do with her.
Don't beware of me, beware of Marianne. She's the one that's
Yeah,
gonna do
Marianne's
shit
doing
for
it
no
on purpose.
reason.
She's doing it on purpose
She
just
just
to
wants
mess
to
with
laugh.
you.
Yeah, I would die if my mother-in-law was just mean to me just to mess with me. I would
No,
be
but
like,
I would do it like
I hate
jokingly.
my
Like I'd
mother-in-law.
laugh with her about it after.
But you never felt like that? Like when you, like I remember when I was like dating, like I remember meeting like a guy's mom and me feeling like, oh my gosh, she's so mean. She hates me, because you know how many girls he was
Yeah.
introducing her to, and they're probably like, this is just another one, you know?
Another.
And they were like so rude. Like I feel like they barely even looked me in the face, and they're like, hey. And I'm like, Jesus, your mom is a
Yes.
wicked witch of the West.
Yeah,
Sheesh.
I have had that.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the boys that I would call that their moms would like me. I feel like they would always give me attitude. And then,
Really?
yeah, if I would meet them, they were not very warm and friendly. Yeah. I don't know. I just can't. I don't know.
You know what I feel like if I was introduced as the girlfriend, they were nicer than if I was just introduced as like, I don't know, a girl.
This is
And I feel
Rhodey.
like it's flipped. I feel
Yeah.
like you flip it though, like, because if I was introduced as a friend, they would like me because I was a friend. I was not a threat. But if I was a girlfriend, then it's like, ooh, why you like her? She must be special, and then it's like weird, you know?
Hmm.
I don't know. What about you, Marianne?
What about me?
Was anybody mean to you? Any parents?
Nope.
No, she said she was like the girl next door. Everyone loved her.
No, they
Oh.
weren't.
Huh?
No, they weren't.
So
See?
you want to be an ass just to be an ass, even though everyone was nice
When
to
everyone
you.
was nice to you.
Oh, all right, Ronnie. Let's wrap this up.
Oh, Marianne. Okay, before we let you go, we want to ask you for a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please screenshot it and tag us. Let us know what you related to the most. And thank you for hitting that subscribe and like button. We appreciate your support. Can't wait to see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.